Hi everyone. So today we'll be talking about validation methods in MS Access. So these are the tables that I used in my previous video as well. I just added a few more fields just to make things easier to explain. So if we go to the design view here, there are some things that we need to know about validation. All right. So if I so here in the datasheet field, I showed you guys the type of format that I'll be using for the student ID. So it's a maximum of 4 characters and it contains letters and numbers. Therefore, I kept it as short text. So if we go here, so we'll get the general and lookup here. So this is what we use to validate. So the field size I'll set here as, so this is the primary key that we're editing, that we're formatting. So I'll keep it as 4. Now, by keeping it as 4, it says that the student ID can be 4, the maximum is 4. It does not say that it must be 4. So if we go here, if I save the settings here, if I go back here, so someone can even add S6. So that's not the format, but it still allows, right? So it can be either 4 characters or less than 4. It does not specify that it must be 4. So I'll delete this record. So if I go back to design view, so I want it to be compulsorily 4. So in that case, I'll go to validation rule. So I'll go to the validation rule. And then I'll put, there are 2 ways that you can do this. So the first easy method is you can put like and then double quotes. And because it's 4, I can put 4 question marks like that. Or the second, it is a must to use the double quotes. The second method is to put len. Len stands for length. And then put open normal brackets, and then inside the normal brackets, open square brackets. And then inside the square brackets, you should put the field name, which you're validating, which is student ID, like that. And then outside, you can put equals 4. Now, this is what specifies that the length of the student ID must be 4, not greater than 4 or less than 4, but must be 4. And this validation text means that if a person adds less than or more than 4, then this text will be shown. So as a message. So for example, if I put, I can put something like the student ID must be 4 must be 4 characters. Just like that, a simple one. So all right, so if I go back to the datasheet view, now if I do this, they don't allow me to add a new record because it's less than 4. And it shows that message, that the validation message that I entered. So if I put it in the correct format, it allows me to put it like that. There you go. So that is length check. Why I would prefer you to use this method, this len, and then using the field name instead of putting the like and then inside double quotes the number of characters, is that, for example, if it's like a really big character, like a really big value, maybe student name, which can be like 40, like maximum 40, like I mean, you should type 40 question marks, which is very which can be very time consuming when you do it for a few tables. So instead, using this method is much more safer and accepted. All right. So that is length check. So the next type of validation we are going to do is range check. So range check, if the data falls within a specified range, and ranges can only be given for numeric values. So that can be either dates, times, currencies, as such numbers. So here I have DOB, which is date of birth, and that's a numeric value. So I'll go to this design view, and in date of birth. So when you're editing here, make sure you click the correct field here, or else you're gonna edit the wrong one. So in date of birth, I'm going to, so to make this a numeric value, I'm gonna change this data type, which is automatically put as short text. I'll change that to date or time. And then here in the format, I can select which way I want to output that. So I'm going to put short date because that's kind of clear to anyone. And then if I want to, so if I'm sure that these students, they were born between 2000 and 2010, which is a 10 years range, I can put the validation rule as between 2000 and 2010, like that. So let me type it all simple, between 2000 and 2010. Yeah, so it automatically changes to capital B and capital A. If not, it doesn't work. And then validation text, I'll put as POV must be between 2000 and 2000. All right. So this is one way of putting the validation rule for range check. There's another way, which is which I call the mathematical way of putting the date. So we want it to be between 2000 and 2010. So the year should be greater than 2000 and less than 2010 because it's in between. So we can put the greater than sign, greater than 2000 and less than 2010. We can also add the equal sign like that. So in this one, the equal sign should come behind the less than sign. And that's how that works. So both the ways are correct. But when you put it this way, it's kind of more clear and specific. Right, we can put Control S, save the process. Then we go to data sheet view. So I specified as greater than 2000 and less than 2010. So if I add here 2012, then let me go, so I can select a date from here instead. No, it doesn't let me because it has to be within the range. And if I select this day, and then I also showed in a previous video that it will be easier to like add the date, month, and then for the year you can next separately type it, which is much faster. So if I put 2009, as you guys saw, I got an error message when I was trying to add dates. So the reason why is what I figured out was you should change the data type to number, and then it's set it to long integer if it's not, but it's automatically set to long integer. And now if you save the settings and go back, it should work. So now if I type just the year, like 2012, which is not in the range, yeah, it won't allow me. But if I type something like 2009, and that works. Yes. So keep that in mind, that not to use date time for when validating a range, and keep it in number. All right, so that is range check. And next, let's head to the next type of validation, which is format check. In this video, I'll be showing you guys just a very few simple types of format checks, but I'll be coming up with another video with all the types of possible format checks that could come. So here, if we go back to the design view, and if I put another field called year join, like join to school, and right, and then let's move on to student name. For example, like, we all have formats in to maintain a database, like to make it more eye-catchy and make it more, easier to grasp the ideas, or easier to just grasp information. So we can, like, change the formats. So in student name, if I want to see the student names all in capitals or all in simples, it's your decision, doesn't matter. So if I want to make all the student names look in capitals, I can put the format here with the greater than sign. So to convert the text that is entered by the user to uppercase, you can put the greater than sign, or if you want to convert everything to lowercase, just put less than sign. And this input mask, I did give you a brief idea as to what and how input mask works. So yeah, when it's lesser than sign, it will be everything lowercase, and if it's greater than sign, then everything's going to be uppercase. So that's like the most simple one. And if you want to, like, make all the like the only in the name, just the first letter to be capital, then you can use the input marks for that. You can put, so because the first letter is capital, you can put greater than capital L, because that is like a must letter. And then about a 10 simple L's, because that's like the maximum number of letters that can come in one first name. So if I break this into so this is student name, and this is how it's gonna come. So now if I show you, so I'll Control S, save, and go to datasheet view. If I add a new record, so S007, right. Simple L, the problem is, I think I said this I couldn't say this in the previous video. So simple L is actually like an old method. It does not work in the new ones. Simple L is not considered as an input mask method. So you should go, so instead, if you watch the previous video, I said that there were 9. There's more than 6. There's a lot, but only 6 are needed. So it's 0, 9. I said it as 0, 9, capital L, simple L, capital A, simple A, but it is 0, 9, capital L, question mark, capital A, simple A. It's just the simple L that's changing. Right, so now this, what I've typed here, 0 is compulsory number. You guys can revise with me. You remember what N means? 9 means? That is optional number. Then what does capital L mean? L starts, letter starts with L, so it's a letter. And because it's capital, it's compulsory letter. And then we have, so in the previous video, I showed it as simple L, but it's actually a question mark. So it's going to be optional letter. And then capital A is compulsory letter or number. And then simple A is compulsory letter. Sorry, not compulsory, optional letter or number. All right. So this is how it works. These are the simple things. So in the previous video, I also mentioned that it does not specify whether the letters are capital or simple. So we are going to use the greater than sign or less than sign to do that, right? So in this case, if I go back to the datasheet view, okay. Now, why didn't this let me go back without entering the date of birth? I'll show you guys. Here. Default value is 0. That's the issue. But it cannot be 0 because it has to be between 2000 and 2010. So just remember that. So going back to what we were talking about, which was the student name and the format. So simple L is recognized as a character and not an input mask value that we can use. So here I put capital, so greater than simple, just to say that the first value is capital. So it's a compulsory letter. And then to change it back. So if I put it like this, right? And if we go back to datasheet view, if I type like anything, I'm just typing, I'm not putting caps lock or I'm not pressing shift or anything, I'm just typing. It's all automatically in capitals. So go back to design view. And if I change that, right? I just want to make the first letter capitals only. I have to put a less than sign again and then type. I'll put a few question marks. Right, if I go back to datasheet view and now I enter, I'm not pressing shift or capitals right now. I'm just pressing the H. See, it's automatically the first letter is capital and the next are symbols. And that's how that's a simple format check. And next we have the class here, which is like 12A, 12B, 12C, something like that. So if I go back to design view and I go to class here, if I want to show the class in a specific format, for example, if I want to put a dash in the middle, so you see I can put something like, so we go to format here, you can see my cursor is blinking. In the format, I can put I can use at to represent one character. At, dash, and again at. So if I save and go back to datasheet view, I'll go to class over here. And if I put, I'm just entering 1 and 12. If I go back here, this is how it's going to show. The dash will come before the last character that I enter, right? I did not press a dash or anything, but as soon as you click another field, another record or a field, you'll see the dash is automatically there. So that's the format. So I close this and I go back to a design view. This is how the format looks. So the at can represent a character. At sign can represent a character. So the format is at dash at, and then I go back to design view. So if the class is 12A, I can just press 1, 2, and capital A. I click on another record, and then it automatically formats the thing with a dash. So that's a format check. So those are just a few, but I'll come up with another video with all types of format checks that will be helpful for your exams. All right, then now let's move on to list lookup check. A list lookup check is where you use lists. So lists are like where you have limited number of responses. For example, your gender, it's just male or female. So here I'll go back to design view and I'll put gender. And here it should be short text. And when you go down, you go to lookup. This is kind of tricky. You must go to lookup or you have no help doing this. Go to lookup and it says display control text box. Text box is not the one you want. You go to you click the arrow and you select list box, right? You press list box and then it gives you a whole lot of more options. And then you can see the second row which says row source type. Click on that, click the arrow, and then you put value list. So which means you're going to give them a specific list of values. And then row source. For the source, you're going to have to give your values. So it's gender, and I only have male and female. I can type male, and then semicolon. That's how you're going to separate the values. Semicolon, not a comma, not a colon, it's a semicolon. Male and female, right? Control S, and then we're going to datasheet view. So here they have given us the genders, and because it's a list, they have given the user a downwards arrow so they can select from either male or female. And if they want to edit it, imagine this was a class or something. They added a new class to the database. So they can, here there's like an edit button. So you can click on that and edit the list. All right. So that's how you do list lookup. Next, let's go to presence check. Presence check is where it checks whether the field has been entered. For example, if they do not allow you to keep the student name, like they give a student ID with the student name is not entered, that will not be allowed. So for example, if you go to design view and we go to student name again, right? So we have also put allowed 0 length, so which means that length is 0, which means that it's empty. We allow it. So we can put a validation rule here. saying that is not null. Null means empty. So the rule is it cannot be null. It cannot be empty. So if you go to type a new record without putting the student name, it will give you an error message. So is space, not space, null. And when you click outside of the cell, it will automatically change the first 3 letters to capitals. So just don't worry about that. Then validation text, the text that will come in the error message, I'll put student name cannot be empty. All right. That's it. And then we'll go back here. So this will like only be acting for the new records that we're going to enter. It doesn't apply for the previous ones. So if I keep this empty and go, I was trying to click on something. I tried to click on the next row, but it doesn't allow me and it gives me the error message. Okay, now I'll enter the name as Anna. And then again, I'm trying to click on the next one, but it doesn't. I showed you guys earlier, the default value is 0, so it's 0 there. But I put a validation rule that the date of birth must be between 2000 and 2010. So I'll put 2008. There we go. And that is the types of validations, the most important types of validation methods in MS Access, the very first few. So as I said, I'll be coming up with another part 2 video for format checks, which includes more types of validations in MS Access. So wait till that comes up. Make sure to practice every day so that you can brush up your knowledge and try to, explore MS Access, because the more you do, the more familiar you get and the more easier it is to do questions in past papers. I hope you guys learned something. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope to see you with another one. Bye.